Fact 1. Armenian support for Constantine. In 324 AD, Emperor Constantine faced his greatest rival, Licinius, in the struggle for control of the Roman Empire. Armenian forces led by King Tiridates III, the first Christian king in the world, played a decisive role. Their soldiers and seasoned commanders supported Constantine, securing the empire's eastern frontier and weakening Licinius's position. This crucial alliance gave Constantine the stability he needed to turn his attention to founding a new capital, Constantinople. Fact 2. The inauguration of the city. On May 11th, 330 AD, Constantine formally inaugurated his new capital. He commanded that this day be celebrated every year with grand ceremonies, processions, prayers, and public games. This was not only a festival, it was a political statement. By creating a new annual holiday, Constantine linked his authority to the city's destiny, ensuring that every citizen remembered who had founded the new Rome. Fact 3. The choice of location. Constantinople was built on the site of Byzantium, a city uniquely positioned on 7 hills at the narrow strait of the Bosphorus. The location was no accident. Fertile lands surrounded the city. The climate was mild, and the Bosphorus gave access both to the Mediterranean and the Black Sea. From here, Rome could control trade between Europe and Asia and defend against enemies from land and sea alike. Fact 4. The Golden Horn. On the northern side of the city lay the Golden Horn, a deep, natural harbor shaped like a great curved horn. It was one of the safest and most strategic harbors in the world. Sheltered from storms, easy to defend with chains across its mouth, and large enough to host fleets of trading ships and war galleys. For centuries, the Golden Horn was the economic lifeline of Constantinople, bringing grain from Egypt, timber from the Black Sea, and luxuries from as far as India. Fact 5. Strategic importance. Constantinople's greatest strength was its geography. Whoever controlled the city held the key to both Europe and Asia. From Constantinople, Roman legions could launch campaigns northward into the Balkans, sail into the Black Sea, or face nomadic tribes, Goths, Huns, and Scythians, at the very points where they threatened to invade Europe. The city became the ultimate military stronghold, a fortress and gateway at the crossroads of continents. Fact 6. An Armenian architect. Tradition holds that an Armenian architect took part in the design of Constantinople's defenses, especially its massive walls and towers. These fortifications, stretching across land and sea, made the city nearly impregnable. Over the centuries, armies of Persians, Arabs, and even Crusaders would test these defenses. The legend of an Armenian hand in their construction reminds us how different cultures contributed to the strength of the empire's greatest city. Fact 7. Armenian churches in the city. From the early centuries, the Armenian Apostolic Church held a special place in Constantinople. Armenians built their own churches, schools, and monasteries, adding to the city's rich religious landscape. These institutions were not only places of worship, but also centers of learning, where manuscripts were copied and students were trained. The Armenian presence helped make Constantinople a crossroads of Christian traditions, Greek, Latin, and Armenian alike. Fact 8. The Armenian population. Over the centuries, Armenians formed a major part of Constantinople's population. In fact, many historians know that Armenians and Greeks were the 2 largest ethnic groups in the Byzantine Empire. Armenians became merchants, soldiers, scholars, and administrators, shaping the empire's culture and politics from within. In many districts of Constantinople, Armenian was heard as often as Greek. Fact 9. Armenian education. One reason for the Armenian community's success was its devotion to education. For centuries, Armenian families placed literacy at the heart of their culture. Every child was expected to learn to read and write, often beginning with the Bible. This tradition of scholarship made Armenians invaluable to the Byzantine administration, diplomacy, and trade, trusted intermediaries between East and West. Fact 10. The Silk Road and the Armenians. The Great Silk Road, the highway of trade between China, India, Persia, and Europe, flourished in part thanks to Armenian civilization. Educated, disciplined, and deeply rooted in family traditions, Armenians ensured that the caravans crossing Asia Minor did so safely. For centuries, Armenian merchants connected Constantinople with distant cities like Samarkand and Changan, bringing silk, spices, jewels, and knowledge. In this way, Armenians helped turn Constantinople into the marketplace of the world. Fact 11. Christianity in Armenia. In the year 301, King Tiridates III of Armenia converted to Christianity, guided by Saint Gregory the Illuminator. This made Armenia the first officially Christian nation in the world, more than a decade before Christian's Edict of Milan in 313. When Constantine looked eastward, he saw in Armenia not only a loyal ally but also a model of a Christian kingdom. Armenian faith and tradition strengthened his vision for Constantinople as a capital where Christianity would flourish alongside imperial power. Fact 12. New Rome. Constantine called his new city Nova Roma, the New Rome. This was not a rejection of the old capital, but rather its rebirth in the east. By dedicating Constantinople on the 7 hills by the Bosphorus, just like Rome, Constantine symbolically continued the traditions of the empire. Yet this new Rome was also unmistakably Christian, crowned with churches rather than pagan temples. It was the bridge between the empire's pagan past and its Christian future. Fact 13. The legend of the Crescent. The crescent moon became one of Constantinople's most enduring symbols. According to legend, during a night attack centuries earlier, a sudden flash of the crescent moon revealed the movement of enemy troops, saving the city from destruction. From then on, the crescent was seen as a symbol of divine protection, a heavenly shield that guarded Constantinople from countless sieges. It represented the city's strength as a natural and spiritual fortress. Fact 14. The Star of Christ. Later, the crescent was joined by the star, interpreted by Christians as the Star of Bethlehem, the sign of Christ's birth. Together, the crescent and star blended ancient legend with the Christian faith. The symbol represented both the protection of the city and the divine light of Christ shining upon it. For the people of Constantinople, it was not merely an emblem, but a reminder that their city stood under heaven's special care. Fact 15. Constantinople as a trade center. From its harbors flowed the wealth of the world. Grain from Egypt fed the empire's population. Cattle, honey, and wax from the Pontus sustained its markets. Wine and olive oil from Greece filled its cellars. And caravans from India and Persia brought spices, silks, and jewels that dazzled Europe. Constantinople was not only the capital of an empire, it was the greatest trading hub of its age, a city where continents and civilizations met. Fact 16. The spiritual life of the city. Constantinople was not only a political and military capital, it became a spiritual heart of the empire. Churches rose on every hill, alongside schools, hospitals, and monasteries. Here, faith was woven into daily life. Education, charity, and healing were seen as sacred duties. For centuries, Constantinople stood as both the intellectual and spiritual beacon of Eastern Christianity. Fact 17. The ceremony of foundation. Legend tells us that Constantine himself marked the city's boundaries with a spear in hand, walking the circuit of its future walls. When his attendants marveled at how vast he intended the new city to be, he answered, "I shall still advance until he, the unseen guide who marches before me, commands me to stop." This act was not only symbolic, it declared to the world that Constantinople was founded by divine will, not human ambition alone. Fact 18. Annual celebration on May 11. On May 11th, 330 AD, the city was solemnly dedicated. Constantine commanded that every year this day would be celebrated as the birthday of New Rome. The feast included grand processions through the streets, religious ceremonies, and games in the hippodrome. For centuries, May 11 reminded citizens that Constantinople was a city blessed by God and chosen by the emperor himself. Fact 19. Napoleon and Tsar Alexander. The city's importance echoed through history. In 1807, after the Treaty of Tilsit, Tsar Alexander I suggested to Napoleon that Constantinople should be his prize. Napoleon unrolled the great map of Europe, stared long at the Bosphorus, and finally declared, "Constantinople? Never! It is the empire of the world." This single moment revealed the city's eternal value. Whoever possessed it held the key to Europe and Asia alike. Fact 20. The Eternal City. Constantinople was not simply a capital, it was the throne of an empire that reshaped the world. Rising at the crossroads of East and West, it became the beating heart of Christianity, commerce, and culture. For more than 1,000 years, its golden domes and mighty walls stood as a symbol of power that no rival could ignore. Even after its fall in 1453, the very name of Constantinople echoed through history, a legend of the city that once ruled the world's destiny. Constantinople was more than a capital, it became a legend. Here, East and West met, and faith intertwined with power. The city was also a center of knowledge and learning. Under Emperor Theodosius, students studied philosophy, medicine, and mathematics, while the Byzantine and Patriarch Photius collected and preserved ancient manuscripts. Scholars such as Michael Pselius advanced astronomy, grammar, and philosophy, ensuring the continuity of classical knowledge. Thanks to these efforts, ancient knowledge reached Europe, laying the foundation for the Renaissance. Even after its fall, the name of Constantinople continued to resonate, a reminder of a city that once held the crossroads of the world and a treasure trove of knowledge.